This broadcast is presented by the authority of the Pacific Coast Sports Racing Association and the National Association of Professional Racing Leagues Incorporated for the private use of our audience. Any reproduction, rebroadcast, retransmission, or any other disseminations or the use of this broadcast without the express written consent of the Pacific Coast Sports Racing Association and the National Association of Professional Racing Leagues Incorporated is prohibited. On the PCSRA Sports and Gaming Channel from Learfield IMG College. Welcome to Triple P on the Blue Hedgehog TV. Now here's the voice of the PCSRA, Mr. Daniel Voiles.
Welcome to the Sunshines and Sadness edition of Triple P. I'm Daniel Voiles in our amazing PCSRA studios, ready for the second episode of Triple P, which I'm definitely looking forward to that, if you know what I mean. It is really good to be here with you guys. Before I start today's episode of Triple P, we had some sad news I need to tell you. Back on December 30th, 2023, which, disclaimer, if you didn't see the recent episode of the Movie Express, you can click the link up in the top right-hand corner before you come back to this one, because there will be spoilers. Sadly, Sylvia passed away on the 30th of December, and from all of us here on Triple P, our condolences go out to her family and friends. At this time, I ask you all to please join me in a moment of silence to remember Sylvia, our friend, who we will miss in the community. Thank you. So, welcome everybody to the second Triple P episode, which I'm so delighted, and of course I'm doing back-to-back recordings as of this premiere here on YouTube. So, of course this is going on while I'm watching my favorite episode of Hell's Kitchen, so yay. But anyway, of course we are now we have just gotten our first race weekend in for 2024. Whoop whoop. I want to get caught up on some top story news I discussed on last week's episode of Triple P. Starting off with the big announcement that came out today of as I'm streaming this here on Twitch. By the way, if you haven't followed me on Twitch, it's twitch.com/PCSRA26. Please follow me there. We are close to 50 followers on Twitch TV, and I would appreciate you guys follow me along and all that good stuff. So, yay! So, yeah. We talked about Shane Van Gisbergen. Of course, he had to get approval by NASCAR to run the ARCA race, which we found out what ARCA team has signed him as we start our top story news here on this channel. And if I go back here, let's see here. And also, this is going to kind of surprise a lot of you guys. Shane Van Gisbergen will be driving for the Pinnacle Racing Group. That will be a fielded entry with Colleague Racing for the ARCA race that will be coming up in February, which I'm definitely looking forward to how he will do in his debut. That is also on the same day he is going to make his Xfinity Series debut. So, very excited to see how that will go, and can't wait to see how he does, because I don't know what kind of what to expect from him as far as a plate race is concerned, but you know, he's done good on the road courses, he's done good on the short tracks. The biggest test is going to be how he's going to do on mile and a halves and also on the super speedways, and this is just my opinion about this. If Shane Van Gisbergen wants some experience at Talladega, I think it would be good if he liked to add Talladega to his schedule. That way he can get a nice feel of how the race will go at Dega, because, you know, ARCA is going to run the same day as the Xfinity Series at Talladega coming up in the season. So, which I can't wait to see how he does. So, can't wait to see how he will do. Really excited. And, of course, him and Marco Andretti. Now, I don't know about you. I never would have thought Marco Andretti would be in the ARCA race, to be quite honest with you. So, yeah. I'm trying to think what ride Marco Andretti is driving. Let me go to my ARCA um, entry list, if I could find it. ARCA entry list, where are you? But, you know, at the same... Oh, here's the ARCA entry list. Let me see. And there's, by the way, 38 entries for the ARCA race for the Brant 200. So that's pretty impressive if you ask me. So here are the cars that will be participating in the ARCA pre-race practice at Daytona. Of course, there are 75 drivers, but there's going to be 38 drivers that will be racing at Daytona. Andre Perez, of course, we talked about him. Of course, he didn't run this race last year because he was not 18 years old. Willie Mullins, Ryan Kunn, Blake Lothian, Davey Callahan, LeVar Scott, Eric Claudel, Sean Court, Ed Pompea, Brian Sherkeski. That's something I've never heard. I don't know any much about that driver. Dylan Hairston. I think some of these drivers you'll see in East and West Series as we go along through the ARCA season. Dylan LeBeau, Blake Donahue, Matt Kemp, no surprise there. Tyler Reef, Jacob Gaudet, Michael Hendry, Chase Miller, Sean Hignorani. Of course, that's the same Sean Hignorani who got suspended one race for his little antic he did to a teammate at Venturini Motorsports last year at Mid-Ohio, which a lot of you probably know about that because we talked about that a lot on my other podcast I was on that I didn't host. Let's see. Takuma Kaga, of course, he'll be in the West Series, knowing him, because he runs in the West Series. Chris Wright. Now, this kind of surprises me that Chris Wright's running full-time in the ARCA Series, because a lot of people didn't know what his plans were for 2024. Marco Andretti, who's driving for Cook Racing Technology. Now, if you would have told me last year Marco Andretti would be racing at Daytona in the ARCA Menard Series, I would not believe you one, or did a pre-race test rather. I don't believe you one bit as far as that is concerned. Tanner Reef, William Sawalich. This will be the final year William Sawalich will be 17 because this time next year he will be 18 years old. Tanner Gray, of course, he is a Truck Series driver. Jake Finch, Amber Beckett, who, by the way, announced today she will be running full-time for Venturini Motorsport, for Venturini Motorsports. Strange to see the 22 under Venturini Motorsports, if you ask me, which is a little weird, to be honest with you, but that's still cool either way. Amber Balakin will be full-time for that series in 2024. Tony Bringer, SVG, and Landon Huffman. Now, this kind of surprises me that, and of course there is a V and an H, so they're probably taking turns. This is what I now found out, is that they're doing like a rotation of these 75 drivers at Daytona, just for them to get their feet wet as far as that is concerned. Landon Hoffman, I could see him in the West Series. Of course, SVG is only just running this race and this race only. Tim and Rita Goulet, Casey Carden, Mitch Gibson, Christian Rose, who's coming back to run another full season of ARCA, Isaac Johnson, Greg Van Oust, the defending winner of the Brant 200 at Daytona, Thomas, and I'm sorry if I'm going to pronounce this last name wrong, Enjuzatata, I think that's how you say his name. I do apologize if I derped. Patrick Emmerling, who's going to be running a part-time schedule with Emmerling Gage Motorsports in the Xfinity Series. We don't know what his schedule will be for the Xfinity Series part-time. We'll see. Let's see. We got Kyle Keller. It's for Emmerling Motorsports, which I don't know what he's doing in the Xfinity Series. Patrick Emmerling. Kyle Keller, who we've seen him in the 70 car in the ARCA Series for the last 2 seasons. Armani Williams. which I'll mention about another topic coming up about his former team that he used to drive for. CJ McLaughlin, not sure what he's doing this year as far as NASCAR is concerned, but he's on the entry list as far as the pre-race practice is concerned for the Xfinity Series. Gus Dean, he's a factor if you ask me as far as that's concerned. Hunter Deschalatele, back for his second season with Brother-in-Law Motorsports, that 57 team. Of course, they have the 57 and 75 they're going to use for the Daytona race. John Armendia, or actually, no, it's John Armendia. Now, I remember Joe Armendia in the 79 when in the Xfinity Series in 2003, who decided to be a dumb backmarker and take out Bobby Hamilton Jr. at Texas in 2003. I remember that race because I was a kid when that happened. So hopefully John Armendia won't be a pain in the butt. Let's see. We got Mason Maggio. Don't know what he's doing besides ARCA. Donovan Strauss. I can probably see him in East or West. Lance Griffith. Same deal with him. Michael Coriano. Gil Linster, Scott Mellon, who's doing both days. I think it would be best if they just had that dreadful number, and I think you all know what that dreadful number is. I think they should just take the A and B off, if you ask me, as far as I'm concerned. Andy Jankowalik, who did pretty good last year as a full-time driver in the ARCA Series. Andrew Patterson, Mandy Chick, who is, by the way, from Kansas, ran, I believe, a part-time schedule last year. I don't know if she's running full-time or not. Austin Daniel, Brian Dozet, who is going to also be racing the Truck Series race that weekend. Cale Costner, who's, by the way, full-time for his own team, which is awesome. Costner Weaver Motorsports. Jason Kip Miller, who had a wreck in practice in the Truck Series, I think it was last year, if I recall. I'll have to go back and look. Dale Shearer, Michael Maples. Now, I have never heard about Michael Maples, to be quite honest with you. Of course, I've been to Choctaw, Oklahoma. I've never heard of Michael Maples. I'm really curious to meet him in person and see how he does, because looks like he is a full-time driver, which I'm a little surprised he's running full-time in ARCA, to be quite honest with you. I have to go through some numbers on him as far as that's concerned. We got Ryan Roulette, Chase Bruda, Justin Bonsignor, who's a awesome modified driver, if you ask me. Leland Honeyman, who's going to be, let me see what Leland Honeyman is doing in NASCAR. I think he's running in the Xfinity Series, or I don't know what his plans are. He's full-time with Young's Motorsports in the Xfinity Series, which, by the way, that 42 team for Young's Motorsports is going to have to make the show on time due to the fact that, A, that is a brand new team in the Xfinity Series, B, that team has no owner points to fall back on for a provisional, and C, if qualifying gets rained out for the Xfinity Series, that's one of the entries, unfortunately, that would have to go home, which would suck for Leland Honeyman to miss the season opener due to the fact, well, you basically don't have any points to fall back on to get a provisional, in my opinion, because he would already had to make the show on time because, well, if we went by his points, it would not be enough for him to make the show on points with a provisional, even if we didn't do owner points and all that. Sorry, I had to take a drink of my Coke Zero, but, it would be a shame because Leland Honeyman has really shown some potentials has shown some good potentials in the Xfinity Series. I mean, he's done like 8 Xfinity races, and he's still eligible for the Rookie of the Year honors. Let's see, Anthony Bello, Cody Dennison, James Simmons Jr., Ben Peterson, Nathan Mollier, who probably will be going full-time in the East Series. Presley Soa, never heard of that driver before. Same with Tommy O'Leary IV. Jeff Schofield, Never heard of him. Carson Quaffle is the son of Travis Quaffle, and I believe he's running for Junior Motorsports in a I think it was for like a late model team. I think he's running for Junior Motorsports over there. Of course, he took part in the Snowball Derby. And Rebecca Monopoli, which I've never heard of this young lady, and I tried to do some research on her just before I came on the air. So I've never heard of this driver before. And of course, both Quaffle and Monopoli, their teams are TBA TBD. So those are the 75 drivers that will be running in the 38 cars pre-race practice at Daytona National Speedway. Of course, I will be doing the mock version of that for 2025 since it is 38 cars. So there you go. So that is your ARCA list. For the pre-race practice. So 38 cars, which we're going to have a small field, but no worries. I will fill it in with all the random custom stuff for the CTS version of the BR13 mod. So, yes. Let's talk about Armani Williams' old team, which he ran for GTG Racing. And this is kind of one of those rare occasions do I even bring this up. So, I talked about this on last week's show. Spoiler alert, if you haven't seen last week's episode, click the link up in the top right-hand corner. Of course, GTG Racing announced during the holidays that they were going to run the 47 and 48 trucks for the 2024 season. Well, when I was going through Twitter during the off-season, this is what really caught my attention as far as this is concerned. And I'll discuss this from Adam Sandler or Adam Stern, which I will discuss that in just a second. Let's see here. Let's see here. Of course, people, and this was back on the 29th. This was right before. Several people called out G2G Racing, and this is what I tweeted. The reason they deleted their Twitter account is they rage quit after several folks found out about this situation, and the team called to apologize to SFM this morning, which because a person said, "Men rage quit because of me posting a screenshot exposing them threatening to get a reporter from Serious Fast NASCAR access revoked." Huh, never heard of that one before. Let me know what you guys' reaction is in the comments section, because that's a bit awkward. But like I told everybody on Triple P, there's more to this story than just what we're reading on here. So, yeah. That's probably what happened. So, I mean, oh, it was from Bob Bailey. Okay, so this is what Bob Bailey says. So I guess GTG Racing decided it was a great idea to put this up, announce the numbers, then pull it, and threaten a media outlet over their own post. I have to say this, and this is just my opinion about them. Don't trust G2G Racing, because that truck team is a joke. I mean, as a team owner, I would feel embarrassed about this shit. I would completely cringe if G2G would do that, though. And Bob Bailey put out a Bob Bailey posted this out on the 28th, said, "This is the outlet that got the threat from G2G Racing. Not cool on any level, and I hope someone from NASCAR takes note of this and they investigate it. Totally not acceptable for a professional race team," which I would absolutely agree with that. I mean, for them to just take shots about it, at a reporter, that's totally disrespectful. I mean, I'm sorry, but You should know better than that. I mean, I wouldn't do that if I would have posted stuff for Daniel Boyles Racing, World Knots Racing, or if Cody, Ormy, Zachary Taylor, Sean R, or Jesse R, anybody on Triple P that posts that, I think they would be embarrassed if they would have done that, threaten a reporter, because you know in the PCSRA, if you do that, you get a hefty fine, anywhere between, let's see, $100,000 to $750,000, and you don't want to be doing that now, don't we? So that's why PCSRA prohibited that. But in all seriousness, G2G is a joke. I mean, you know, they they have been one of the most troublesome teams that we've seen ever since they made their debut. Ever since this was announced, um, their whole shop deal with no parts and all that, it's just a mess, and it's not good. And I'm glad nobody wants to drive for them because they are a complete scam. I can just tell you that as far as that's concerned. So yeah, that's just my opinion about that. Let me know what you all think about the GTG racing situation in the comments section. So yeah. Okay, so Bob Pockris posted this announcement. Let's see. Nashville Fairgrounds okayed request from Nashville Fairgrounds Speedway promoter Track Enterprises to allow a race at the fairgrounds on Thursday, June 27th prior to Cup weekend at Nashville. TBD on what will be on track. FYI, not SRX. Board had to okay because it's a weekday event. Interesting. I already talked about Amber Balakin, who's running full ARCA. Now, when I say ARCA, I'm talking about the actual ARCA Menard series. I'm not talking about ARCA East or ARCA West. She'll be running part-time in those, if you know what I mean. Shane Wilson will crew chief Ty Dillon struck the 25 for Rackley War Racing in 2024. Air Force has left Legacy Motor Club, and that's kind of one of the most surprising things is that I didn't realize Air Force left Legacy Motor Club, to be quite honest with you. So there's got to be something else that's going on that I'm not fully aware of. Scarabs announced that they're going to be the Scarabs 200 for the Xfinity Series race on, I believe it's going to be on my birthday weekend at New Hampshire. Let me actually look at the schedule. The G-Ski, let me pull up. I think it is on my birthday weekend, but I'm going to double check so nobody gives me no, it'll be on the 22nd of the 22nd of June. Okay, so it'll be on the 22nd of June. Oh yeah, my birthday weekend is on Pocono, of all places. I'm really excited about that. So yeah. Anyway, so Air Force is now going to 2311. I don't know which driver or which. I don't know if it's going to be. Oh, it's going to be on Bubba Wallace's car. Well, that answers that question. Rebel Bourbon will be a primary sponsor for Kyle Busch at RCR for multiple races in 2024 and 2025. Interesting that Kyle Busch has been getting more sponsorship, of course, than any other. I mean, because, he lost Netspin, which I think it's was like a one-off scheme, which really is a shame because I really like that scheme. But, I'm happy to see Kyle Busch is not going to have any sponsorship issues as far as that is concerned. So, excited about that. Jeremy Clements just revealed back on January 4th, and I didn't point this out on last week's video. Kennedy Clements was born on January 4th, so we congratulate him for welcoming his son into the world. Any sponsorship on Josh Berry and Noah Gregson is TBD, so we don't know what's going on as far as that is concerned. And this is kind of a funny trade. Colleague Racing has acquired Matt Sheritsky, or Squid as they like to call it, from Colleague or Trackhouse Racing acquired Squid or Matt Schwitzky from Colleague Racing for Travis Mack, who is going to be the technical director and crew chief of the 16 Cup car. So this answers also the other question, is that now that Travis Mack is not only the crew chief of the 16, but he's also going to be the technical director at Colleague Racing, which I've heard some rumors, and again, do not quote me on this until I get a source out. They said Ty Dillon is interested, Matt DiBenedetto, which would be a shocker to see Gibby back in the Cup Series, but like I said, nothing is official. I already know they have AJ Allmendinger for the car at Daytona, but after Daytona, it's TBD as far as that is concerned. Also, I forgot to mention Jake Finch will be doing 6 ARCA National races, 3 ARCA West races for Venturini Motorsports this year, so there you go. Bennett family expands multi-year partnership with Richard Childress Racing and will continue to serve primary partner for Austin Hill in the Chevy Camaro for RCR in the NASCAR Xfinity Series. This is one of the new teams that will be in the Truck Series. Spencer Boyd has partnered with Chris Miller, owner of Freedom Warranty, to buy some GMS racing trucks and operate a full-time team, Freedom Racing Enterprises, in the NASCAR Craftsman Truck Series in 2024. It will be the number 76 Chevy, which Boyd will drive. Greg Ellie will be the crew chief. Jeff Hammond, who works for Fox, will be the general manager for that team. So that's wonderful news. Congratulations to Spencer Boyd. He also has gotten owner points from the 43 GMS racing truck, so that will probably save Spencer Boyd from having to make the show on time, or if qualifying gets rained out, that could help him get a provisional or so. Brad Perez will be driving the 45 in select Xfinity races, so this tells me that the 45 will be an all-star team in the Xfinity Series in 2024. Makes sense to me. His first race will be COTA coming up in March, which is good. IROC. If you guys remember the IROC Series, the International Race of Champions, it last ran in 2006, which Tony Stewart won the championship. Hall of Fame crew chief Ray Everham, who worked as an IROC mechanic in his younger days, and former MWR co-owner Rob Kaufman, have bought out the IROC brand and hope to have an event in 2024 with historic IROC racing cars. Details on that will be at a later date. And of course, Stewart Haas Racing updated their logo. I still prefer their old logo, but oh well. And then 3-time ARCA champion Tim Steele died last week as of this video. And of course, our condolences go out to their friends and family. Now, from Adam Stern, 5 Hour Energy, which was last in NASCAR in 2015 with the Michael Waltrip Racing Team before, or with Clint Boyer before they parted ways after 2016, is back in racing for the first time since, 2018. Is back in racing for the first time since its merger or racing deal ended after 18 with the new associate IndyCar team with Ray Hall Letterman Racing, which is good news there. So, yay. And it's probably part of the Hy-Vee deal, so, yeah. Really exciting. I don't know why people are posting, girl photos. It's like, what does that have anything to do with the racing topic? I mean, it's really getting annoying, and I think you all would agree with me on that. So, yeah, and of course, Kyle Larson ran the Chili Bowl, which I'm not going to tell you how he did. You'll have to find that out for yourself as far as that is concerned. Rowdy Energy is shutting their website down, which I'm a little sad about that. I still like their products. AJ Foyt Racing confirms Santino Ferruccio will return to drive the number 14 entry in the NTT IndyCar Series in 2024. I still hate him for what he did, so that's just my opinion. I, by the way, haven't heard any sources about the Rowdy shutting down. That's just my opinion about that. The dumbest name in racing, which, by the way, if you don't remember from Let's Talk Rowdy, that I'm on, of course, I'm not returning that show in 2024. We talk about the 45 driver that doesn't need to be named because he has the dumbest name in racing, and I'll just give it away to you all so you all know who I'm referring to, which is Lawless Allen. There you go. I know I said that name, but to be fair, it is the dumbest name in racing. Anyway, it was announced that he, which is Lawless Allen, even though he has the dumbest name in racing, announced that he will not return to the number 45 Nice Motorsports entry in 2024. Of course, the 45 team has failed to qualify, I think it was twice last season, which is a little bit shocking. Daytona was one of them, and I can't think off the top of my head where the other D&Q is until I go through G-Ski, or, yeah, I'll probably go through J-Ski as far as that is concerned. So, there you go. This is from my friend Joseph Strigley. 22-year-old Trans Am TA2 standout Austin Green is set to run a part-time Xfinity Series schedule for Peterson Racing Group in 2024 with the COTA race in March. The team will also attempt events at Richmond, Martinsville, Portland, Sonoma, Chicago, that would be the street circuit race, Watkins Glen, Bristol, and Charlotte Roval. You can go away. I don't. Now, Peterson Racing Group tried to make a Xfinity race. I think it was that Charlotte Roval. Yeah, it was the Charlotte Roval. Unfortunately, they failed to qualify because the entry that they ran last season didn't have any owner points to fall back on. So that will be one of the entries when we go to COTA later this year that have to qualify on time because of the fact they had no points to fall back on. They'll probably use 87 unless they end up changing their number. So we'll just have to wait and see what number they're going to run. But my guess is going to be the 87 like they ran last year. That's just my guess. But he's going to be a very good driver, if you ask me. Also, need to give everybody a little note. The Hybridad E-Prix in India that was scheduled for February 10th has been canceled due to issues that's going on in the country of India. So that means we will not be going to India in the 2024 season. So after the predictions for Saudi Arabia, Formula E will not be back until March. So they'll have the entire month of February off to recover, regroup, get ready for their next race. So, which is a bit of a shame, to be honest with you. So this will be their official schedule, if I pull it up. And as I said, do not help me, I can find it. 20, that's going to be the schedule. So this will be their official schedule. Of course, the Hanaco E-Prix, the Hanaco Mexico City E-Prix that just ran this past weekend, which, by the way, I will recap that next week for you guys. We'll have that. Of course, we had the Diria E-Prix that's coming up. Of course, next week, and I will preview that race coming up. And, of course, that's a doubleheader. We have the Sao Paulo E-Prix. That's the next race. That's the one in March. And then 2 weeks, they'll be at Tokyo on the 30th of March. The Misano E-Prix at the Misano World Circuit, Marco Simoncelli. That will be for a double header. Of course, we'll have the jewel of the race, the Monaco E-Prix, which are running the full layout. They're not running the short layout from like Sandoval through cutting the course down that little alleyway, but they're running like the full course, like going up to Casino Square, to Miraval, Portier, all the way through the hairpin coming out of the tunnel, Tabac, Larascas, etc., etc. So they're running like the full F1 layout. So makes sense to me, not half of it. So um, they're going to be at Berlin E-Prix, which is a airport street circuit which they finished, which is a fun track. The Shanghai E-Prix, back on the schedule. They'll be on May 25th, 26th, which will be a double header. The Portland E-Prix, that'll be right after the Xfinity Series races there in early June, and then their season finale will be after my birthday at the London E-Prix. So that is the now official schedule for the Formula E schedule coming up. So yeah, and of course we're already one race into that new season. So there you go. So. And of course, a couple of other notes I didn't mention on last week's show: Cape Town E-Prix, Jakarta E-Prix, and Rome E-Prix will not be held in 2024. There's a plan to reschedule the Jakarta round in the wake of the presidential election period, but was ultimately rejected, which I think they're a bunch of numpties. Tokyo E-Prix, first time they're joining the calendar. Of course, we always go to Japan for the Japanese Grand Prix. The Shanghai E-Prix is the first one since the Sanya E-Prix in 2018-19. Misano E-Prix is joining the calendar, replacing the Rome E-Prix. Portland E-Prix will host a doubleheader after hosting one race last year. And of course, the Hybrid E-Prix originally scheduled, but was canceled due to a change in governance for the region, which sucks. But oh well. That's definitely life, if you ask me. So yeah. So that is basically all the top story news and all that good stuff. Now let's talk about, let's get you caught up on the roster for the Trucks and Xfinity Series. We're going to start off with the Truck Series, the team chart for 2024. Of course, the team not coming back in 2024, of course, the number 23 GMS Racing, 24 GMS Racing, and 43 GMS Racing. Now, there has been reports that Young's Motorsports may not be racing in the Truck Series due to the fact they are starting up an Xfinity Series team. Don't know what their truck team plans will be. That's something we'll have to wait and see about that. Of course, so the 02 doesn't have any plans, but of course, Spencer Boyd left that ride to now form his own team. Stockman, who crew chief Nick Sanchez, is full-time in the Xfinity Series, so crew chief for Nick Sanchez is TBD. We'll have Dean Thompson back in the 5. Grant Enfinger now goes to CR7 Motorsports, bringing his sponsor, Grant County Mulch, and his crew chief with him, so that's good. And of course, the team has an alliance with MHR I can't even say it, but I'll just say MHR. Corey Heim, back with Tricon. Now, I do need to mention this to the Triple V panelists. When we do predictions for Gateway, Corey Heim is not too easy for stay away from because I'm making this exemption rule, and if you don't know why this exemption rule is, it would be better off if you private message me. That way I can fill you in on that reason. But he'll be back full-time with Scott Zipadelli for Tricon Racing. Of course, number 12 team, we don't know what's going on with their team. Jake Garcia replaces Haley Deegan, who's going up to the Xfinity Series, which I'll talk about Haley Deegan in a minute. Tricon Garage will still have Tanner Gray. Don't know about Hattori Racing Enterprises after Tyler Ankrum left that team at the end of last year. Taylor Gray will be full-time this year in the 17 ride. Of course, this will now be his first Daytona race when we go there because he didn't race Daytona last year due to the fact he didn't turn 18 until the Las Vegas weekend. Tyler Ankrum actually moved to MHR, which they changed the number from 35 to 18. So this also answers the question, would the 18 have to make the show on time? The answer will be no, because with the number change from 35 to 18, they'll be more than likely using the 35's owner points instead of having to make the show on time. Of course, they'll have Christian Eckes. Nothing as, like I said, with Young's Motorsports. Ty Dillon and Shane Wilson I talked about earlier with Rackley War. Brett Holmes will be full-time this year for his own team with Pete Holdings as the sponsor and Jerry Baxter as his crew chief. Not sure about Ream Brothers Racing as far as the 33 and 34 teams are concerned. Lane Briggs will be replacing Zane Smith, who's going to Cup Racing full-time with Spire Motorsports. As far as that's concerned, Dylan Camilio will be going from engineer role to crew chief for Front Row Motorsports' truck team. And of course, they do have a good chance of having good luck there. So I wish Lane Briggs good luck. He's also still going to run for Rookie of the Year honors. Bailey Curry will be in the 41, driving for Nice Motorsports. Worldwide Express will be a sponsor. Matt Mills will replace Carson Hocevar, who's gone to the Cup Series in 2024, with JF Electric and Ultra being his sponsor, and Phil Gold will be his crew chief. Daniel Dye will go to the 43 MHR team, with Champion Container will be the sponsor for a minimum of 12 races out of 23. As I talked about, the dumbest name in racing not returning, so we don't know who'll be in the auto docket Chevy, since I heard that he was released, according to what Jayski said. So there you go. Thad Moffitt, of course, I talked about Thad Moffitt, who's going to run for Faction 46. Of course, they are replacing the G2G 46 team, so there you go there. And that is also a truck team that will need to make the show on time. Of course, Kyle Busch will more likely be in the 51. Who else will be in the 51 will be announced at a later date from Spire. They've already announced Chase Purdy is going to be back with Spire Motorsports in the Truck Series in 2024. Of course, we'll still have Stuart Friesen for Harmar International as a sponsor, Toyota TRD. Timmy Hill will be full-time for his own team. Spencer Boyd I just talked about. Chase Purdy I just talked about. And of course, I'm going to bet you this, that the Force owner points for that Purdy ran last year will go with him to Spire Motorsports. I think all the owner points for the from KBM will definitely go to Spire just to secure their safety as far as that's concerned. Matt Crafton, Ty Majeski, Ben Rhodes are the last three from Thor Sport Racing. 2020, some part-time teams that are not going to run full-time. William Sawalich, of course, he'll run a part-time truck series scheduled for 9 races. Corey Roper will run some races. Don't know about Norm Benning. Don't know about the 7 Spire teams since they have not announced any plans after purchasing KBM. Nebco Motorsports, don't know what they're doing. Jennifer Jo Cobb Racing, don't know what they're doing. Same with Trey Hutchins. AM Racing, don't know what they're doing next year. Brian Dozet probably will run the Super Speedways next year for Jim Rosenblum Racing. 30 On Point Toyota, don't know what they're doing next year. Same with Nice's 44 team. Of course, G2G Racing, who shut down their Twitter account. I think they're not going to be back on in the series. Not sure what Tory Racing Enterprises is doing next year. Jessica Friesen will probably see her part-time. Don't know where. 66 Thor Sport team is probably going to be a part-time as usual. Parker Kligerman will probably run part-time schedule. No surprise there. John Atwell will probably run part-time. Of course, he entered at COTA, but I don't know what their plans are. Clay Greenfield, don't know what he's doing for Cook Racing Technologies. Don't know what they're doing. Justin Carroll for Terry Carroll Racing. Don't know what they're doing. 91, not sure what they're doing since Wood is running for, will be part-time. GK Racing, don't know what they're doing. Todd Peck, not sure what they're doing. Cody Robar will be back in the 97 next year. And then, as I mentioned, the 23, 24, and 43 teams are shutting down, or have already shut down. Now, go into the Xfinity Series team charts, which I'll talk about the my preseason predictions. I'm going to record at a later in a separate video, which will be interesting, and you'll get your feedback. So let's start with the Xfinity Series. Of course, there's going to be 3 Rookie of the Year contenders: Hailie Deegan, Jesse Love, and Shane Van Gisbergen. Of course, Jesse Love, going to soon be the outgoing ARCA champion, because no matter who wins ARCA, they're more than likely going to the Xfinity Series, which brings up a question we will talk about next week. Are development drivers not... Is it time for development drivers to skip the trucks and go to Xfinity? That's something we're going to discuss that with panelists next week on the show, which we will hope to have panelists on the show next week, so that way we can get their feedback on. So, yeah. So, the defending Xfinity Series champion, never thought I would be saying that, Cole Custer will return to the 00 for Stewart Haas Racing. Sam Mayer will be in the 1 car, as usual, for Junior Motorsports. 02 Hour Motorsports, not sure what they're doing for 2024, since Blaine Perkins moved over to Ryan Sieg Racing's team in 2024. So not sure what the 02 is doing. Jesse Love, defending ARCA champion, replacing Sheldon Creed, who's gone off to JGR this year. Jesse Love will be sponsored by Whelen with Danny Stockman as his crew chief. JD Motorsports will have Dawson Cram. I'm just going to say this in just my opinion. They're going to lie and have multiple drivers in the 4. That's just my opinion about that. Anthony Alfredo will be in the 5 car for Our Motorsports, which that team has rebranded their number. JD Motorsports number 6, don't know what they're doing. SS Greenlight Racing 0708, don't know what they're doing for next year. Justin Allgaier is coming back with Brant and Jarrett Logistics Systems as his sponsor. Sammy Smith will be replacing Josh Berry, who's gone to the Cup Series. Sammy Smith will be driving the 8 car for Junior Motorsports. He left GGR to go to Junior Motorsports. He will have Adam Wall as his crew chief. He'll have sponsors Pilot Flying J, TMC Transportation, and Allstate Peterbilt Group. Brandon Jones will be back with Say Big Money at Menards. Yeah, I know that gets a little old. Josh Williams, who made a headline last year in one of the most controversy things he did at Atlanta last year, where he parked his car, got out, walked, did the peace sign to NASCAR, which NASCAR got offended and suspended him for a weekend. Going to be driving for Colleague Racing. I'm really curious how Josh Williams is going to do for Colleague, because we've seen how he's done with DGM Racing with Mario Goslin's team, and now he's going to a big team in Colleague Racing. And I'm really curious to see how he's going to do for that team in 2024. That's a big deal. And of course, Daniel Hemrick was in the 11 car. He's already left to go drive for Colleague Racing in the Cup Series, replacing Justin Haley, who moved to go to Wickra Racing. So definitely it's going to be interesting to see how that go. And a little disclaimer, I'm drinking Coke Zero if you're watching this on YouTube, and I'm not sharing, and I know I'm going to figures jail, but that's another story to tell for another time. Hailie Deegan, who, as I talked about, left the Truck Series and left Thor Sports. She is now with AM Racing in their new second entry alongside the 25, which I haven't heard as of this recording who's going to be in the 25, and I don't know if Brett Moffitt is going to be back in the 25. We don't know any of that as far as that's concerned. But Hailie Deegan will be sponsored by Viva Tequila Seltzer and Airbox Inc. on her Ford Mustang in the Xfinity Series. That is a car that will have to make the show on time because the 15 car that I recall has no owner points to fall back on to get a provisional. So Hailie Deegan has got to make the top 33 on speed to race at Daytona, which we'll definitely talk a lot about that. Of course, AJ Allmendinger is back in the Xfinity Series, driving the 16 to nobody's surprise. Sheldon Creed, I talked about, he'll be in the 18 car for Joe Gibbs Racing, one of 2 full-time entries for JGR. And this is what really caught me off guard, is that the 19 and the 20 for JGR is going to be a all-star team, which is which is really strange, to be quite honest with you, because normally when JGR announces their Xfinity lineup, they normally have 3 full-time cars and 1 all-star car. This year, it'll be 2 full-time cars and 2 all-star cars, which is really weird, to be quite honest with you. So they're going to have in the 19. This is kind of confirmed. They're going to have Ryan Truex, who got a victory last year, good for him. Joe Graf Jr. to nobody's surprise. And then this is really what really surprised me is they're going to have Taylor Gray, which is a little that's kind of surprising me. You know, I would have probably would have waited for Taylor Gray to make his Xfinity debut. That's just besides the point. William Sawalich will be probably running the end of the season. I don't know what points he's going to go for. I think as far as William Sawalich is concerned, because I haven't heard if he's going to go for truck points or Xfinity points. That's just my opinion. Of course, he'll run a part-time schedule until he turns 18, which is a little surprising. John Hunter Nemechek will be running a part-time schedule in the Xfinity Series in the 20. Of course, he's going to be running for Cup points. When he's not running for Cup points, because remember, John Hunter Nemechek's with Legacy Motor Club in the Cup Series with Ben Bayshore, and Tyler Allen's going to be the crew chief of the 20. Eric Almirola, who announced he was not returning to Stewart-Haas Racing after last year, is now going to be driving a part-time schedule for Joe Gibbs Racing in the 20, and he'll probably be in that car for like the final 7 races. I can bet you that for certain. As far as that's concerned. Austin Hill, I already talked about him and Bennett returning for RCR next year. Sam Hunt Racing, not sure what they're doing next year. AM Racing, we just talked about, not sure what's going on with the Brett Moffitt situation. Now, here's what's another possibility for Hailie Deegan as far as if, say for instance, if Brett Moffitt is not returning to the 25 and they don't announce a driver before Daytona, I think what they could do, AM Racing, is they could take the owner points from the 25 and carry over to the 15 team. That way, when we go to Daytona, Hailie Deegan has some owner points that could save her instead of her having to load up and go home, which would be a complete travesty if you ask me. So that's just my opinion if we don't know if Brett Moffitt's coming back. Otherwise, she'll have to qualify on time. Of course, Sam Hunt don't know what they're doing because Kaz Gralla is not returning to the team, so I don't know what Gralla's plans will be. Jeff Burton's back with Jordan Anderson Racing. Kyle Sieg will drive for RSS Racing full time. The 29 will be Blaine Perkins. Of course, the 29 entry is going to have to make the show on time because they are low in owner points. And that's one of the, quote, go or go homers. As far as that's concerned, of course, Parker Retzlaff, sponsored by Funkway, with returning in the 31. Emerling Gase Motorsports, I talked about this when I was going through the ARCA entry list. Not sure what they're doing next year. Not sure what the 38's doing next year. 38 entry as far as plans. Ryan Sieg, we already know with Scarabs, which is also the title sponsor of the New Hampshire race, that 200. Leland Honeyman, I talked about him during the ARCA rundown. Alpha Prime Racing will have Ryan Ellis and Brendan Poole running full-time. It's nice to see Brendan Poole finally having a full-time ride rather than like running for JD Motorsports, gets fired, gets rehired from JD. Yeah, JD Motorsports is a complete joke, if you know what I mean, because they can't make up their mind of who's going to be full-time for them. That's just my opinion on that. Parker Kligerman is back in the 48 for Big Machine Racing. Jeremy Clements Racing will be back with Jeremy Clements as usual. 53, Emerling Gase, not sure what they're doing. Same with NBM. Mike Harmon has not even announced his plans for the 47 and 74, which both of those entries have to make the show on time. Don't know what BJ McLeod's team's doing in the Xfinity Series, who's replacing him, because remember Anthony Alfredo left BJ McLeod to go to our Motorsports' 5-car entry full-time next year. Chandler Smith going to be driving the 81. That's the other car. Now, here's the interesting situation. Some people get confused, and they're like, well, the 81 doesn't have any owner points to fall back on. He has to qualify on time, right? Wrong. He has the winner's provisional that he got last year that he can fall back on. So even though the 81 entry has no points to fall back on, Chandler Smith has a winner's provisional to fall back on should qualify and get rained out. And that would be his only saving grace as far as that's concerned. Kyle Weatherman's replacing Josh Williams, or is going to be in the 91. Josh Balicki's replacing Josh Williams, who left that team. Sponsorship of the 92 will be announced at a later date. SVG will be driving for Colleague Racing. Of course, the owner points from the, I think it's going to be from the 10, will be carried over to the 97. So in case SVG has to buy a way into the field. And of course, Riley Herbst returns to SHR. This is what I'm predicting. I predict Riley Herbst is going to get a full-time ride in the Cup Series somewhere because he's about ready. Part-time teams we don't know of. The 0, the 3, the 10. Like I said, the 10's probably going to be the 97. 13 don't know. I know the 17's going to be back with Cup drivers. Not surprised there. Number 23, Hour Motorsports, not sure what they're doing. Jesse Luigi don't know what he's doing. Mario Goslin has not announced what's going on with the 36. The 45, Cesar Baccarella and Brad Perez, I already talked about earlier. Pardis Racing don't know what they're doing. Jimmy Means Racing don't know what they're doing. 77 Spire Motorsports, not sure what they're doing in the Xfinity Series. Dale Jr. will run a couple of races in the Xfinity Series, or will run one race a year, which will be his final. 90 entry from DGM, don't know what they're doing. FRS Racing, not sure what they're doing. 99 BJ Cloud Motorsports, not sure what they're doing. And as I said, the number 5 Big Machine Racing, not returning, but it will be replaced with our Motorsports. Yeah. So, that is the rundown of all of the teams as far as trucks and Xfinity. And of course, we'll finally get some more news, if we get any, between now and next week's show, which will be next Thursday when we recap the Mexico City E-Prix. So, there you go. So, and that is what's coming up, which brings us to this week's upcoming PCSRA racing events. Next Thursday I want to put this at 3 o'clock Eastern Standard Time, so it's not, or no, I'll put it at 2 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, so it's not conflicting with my show, Hell's Kitchen. Of course, we'll recap Mexico City E-Prix. We'll get you caught up on other news if we get any more news between now and then, and we'll look ahead to the Saudi Arabian E-Prix, and I will also go over the point standings for the first time in 2024. Hell yeah. So that is a look at this week's upcoming PCSRA athletic events, brought to you by Heartland Flyer, the proud sponsor of Triple P. The Oklahoma Highway Safety Office is the proud sponsor of Triple P and wants to remind all of you fans that drinking and driving is deadly and illegal. Together as one great group, we can end DUI. Visit enduyok.com to learn more. As I close this broadcast, and I talked about this at the top of the show, we want to remember Sylvia, who will be remembered not only for the rest of this season in 2024, but for all of the podcast episodes, and will be greatly missed. And as we begin my final thoughts on the show, she is definitely somebody we're going to miss. And of course, we left 2023 minus one of the greatest family, and we're proud to call her as a friend. And you know, we're sad to see her go, or sad to say goodbye to her, and we're going to miss her. And of course, as I said, our condolences go out to their friends and family. Of course, hate that Rowdy Energy is shutting down at the end of this month. So, yeah, so that sucks. But anyway, it's really sad, but you know, there's nothing you can do about it. And you know, I'm just going to continue to honor her in her honor as far as this show is concerned. So, yeah. So, definitely looking forward to that. I'm definitely looking forward to the next episode of Triple P that will be next week. So, yes. So, looking forward to that. With that being said, ladies and gentlemen, as we're nearing an hour into this episode of Triple P, woohoo, it's been a while since I've gone an hour as far as that is concerned. But I want to thank you guys so much for joining me for the second episode of Triple P for 2024. If you guys enjoyed this episode, be sure to give it a like. If you haven't considered subscribing yet, I highly recommend you do so in order to keep up with some awesome content coming out in the near future, as well as future episodes of your favorite podcast coming out throughout the rest of this week and onwards to the next. I know there's a lot of stuff I'm going to be trying to get caught up on, and if I have some news here, there, everywhere, I will try to get it to you guys as soon as possible. But like I said, it's going to be a lot of fun. So again, thank you guys so much for joining me. And on behalf of Sean Art, Nathan Orman, Cody Smart, Zachary Taylor, and all of our Triple V friends, I'm Dina Voles, aka PCSRA Blue Hedgehog 26, signing out, saying you have been watching another amazing podcast, courtesy of PCSRA TV on YouTube and on Twitch, the best NR racing and gaming and streaming around the world since 2017. Make sure you guys follow me here on Twitch at PCSRA26, and make sure you give this video a like and always subscribe to this channel. So until next week, my friends, seek the day, and we'll talk to you next week for another episode of Triple P. Until then, this is the Blue Hedgehog signing off, saying so long until next time. Good night, everybody.